Hello, everyone. Good morning. Today, it is the 4th virtual summit on professionalization of evaluation for VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters in Asia Pacific region. On behalf of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, EvalYouth Asia chapter, APC Hub, and Eval for Action campaign, I welcome you all to this virtual summit. This is organized by the Professionalization of Evaluation Thematic Group of APIA. My name is Maha Salman. I'm the co-lead of EvalYouth Asia and Professionalization of Evaluation theme of APIA, and it is with great honor that I will be moderating this virtual summit. Just a couple of reminders before we begin. We will request you all to please keep your microphone and video disabled during the summit. This is going to be an interactive summit, but when somebody is speaking, when the presenters, when there's a presentation going, for clarity, we would request you all to keep the microphone and video disabled. Please rename your Zoom name to the first name, followed by your last name and the name of the VOPE or the EY chapter. We encourage questions and comments and interacting with you. So please post anything that you want in the chat bar. We can begin with introductions, perhaps. So to begin, for the opening remarks, please allow me to welcome Professor Kiko Nishino, the Vice President of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you, Maha. Good day to all the participants who gathered here today. I'm Keiko Nishino, the Vice President of APIA. I'm very honored to welcome all of you to this 4th virtual summit on professionalization of evaluation for VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters in the Asia Pacific region. As we recall, the first summit was successfully held in November 2021. And we decided to organize a regular follow-up summit. This time, the time flies, and this summit is now the 4th one. The objectives of the summit are to understand the role of VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters on promoting professionalization. 2, to understand code of ethics in evaluation. 3, to provide feedback to the Code of Ethics in the Evaluation Guide for the Asia-Pacific region created by APIA. And today we have the Dr. Ryo Sasaki, the presentation from JES, Japan Evaluation Society, and Ms. Chimeg, she is the president of the Mongolian Evaluation Association. So we have 2 presentations and followed by the breakout sessions. As a member of professionalization theme, I sincerely expect a fruitful discussion and outcome of this important summit. Thank you, and over to you, Maha.
Thank you so much, Professor. And now that you have revealed to our audience the theme of this year's virtual summit, which is to discuss the Code of Ethics, I would request Dr. Ryo Sasaki, the Senior Researcher, International Development of Japan, to give his presentation on why Code of Ethics matter for evaluation. Welcome, Professor. Please share your screen.
Okay. Maha, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Ryo Sasaki. I received a PhD in evaluation from Western Michigan University. You can see the certificate of my doctoral on my back. Okay, so it's a kind of stimulus and a motivation for you to join this seminar. Okay, I would like to share my PowerPoints. Can you see it? Okay. So why Code of Ethics matters for evaluation? Within 10 minutes, I hope. Okay, so that first of all, ultimate definition of evaluation. As you know, evaluation is thematic determination of value of things. So we can say evaluation equal factual identification plus value determination. This is a basic definition of evaluation. So the purpose of evaluation, what should we conduct evaluation? The evaluation is social betterment. So this is the ultimate goal of evaluation. Okay? For this purpose, that national evaluation associations or societies such as American Evaluation Association and Japan Evaluation Society have set us a set of code of ethics. The common codes includes a few, but before that, why is the code of ethics important? We should keep in mind this point. We should contribute to social betterment through evaluation activities, and we should not harm the society. Okay? Thus, we need a code of ethics in order to make evaluation appropriately and ethically. Okay? So this is the reason why we need code of ethics. Usually, the ethics include at least 3 important things. The first one is responsibility for public welfare. The people involved in evaluation have an obligation to contribute to the public welfare through evaluation, not only a certain people such as your client, but also general public, public welfare. Okay, but what's the public welfare? This has been a long-held question that has never clearly answered. However, now we have an answer, which is SDG. It is a universally agreed values and ultimate goal of our society. Now we can have a clear answer for this question. What is public welfare? That is, in short, SDGs. Okay, this is the first point. The next one, ethics 2, respect for people. The people involved in the evaluation shall give sensible consideration to the cultural and social background of the various people and respect their safety and self-determination. So, especially in our region, Asia and Pacific, culture and social background is various. We should respect those points. Now, finally, the third point is independency of evaluators. The people involved in evaluation shall remove pressure to independency of evaluators who get to account the value of stakeholders, regardless of whether the evaluation is external or internal or collaborative evaluations. No matter what we shall remove pressure to the independency of evaluators. That is especially important for our region, Asia and Pacific region. We should keep in this point. So these 3 points are at least should be included in our ethics of our code of ethics. Then the final message is this one. So by keeping code of ethics, let's make our world a better place by doing evaluations. So this is the final message from me. Okay, so my presentation is over. Thank you very much, Maha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Sasaki. This was informative, and it was a good start to our theme of why code of ethics are important. And you spoke very well about evaluators embedding the concepts of integrity, well-being, respect, and basically causing no harm while doing evaluation. To further build on this case, I would request Erdene Çimik, you may call her Chimigi, the founder and president of Mongolian Evaluation Association, and Randika Dimel, manager, Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, to present the code of ethics developed by APIA. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, Maha. So greetings, everyone. I am grateful to co-present to you today the initial draft of the APIA's Code of Ethics. Earlier this year, we developed a concept note on how to go about developing APIA's Code of Ethics. As a first step, we reviewed all the existing Code of Ethics and guidelines around the world and found that most national VOPEs have their own Code of Ethics as a standalone document or as a part of the evaluation standards or evaluation principles. Here are some of the examples displayed. For example, national VOPEs such as Japan Evaluation Society, they have, just as Professor Roy said, they have guidelines for the ethical code of evaluation. American Evaluation Association has guiding principles for evaluators as a guide to the professional ethical conduct of evaluators. Canadian Evaluation Society has ethical guidance. Australian Evaluation Society has code of ethics for members and guidelines for the ethical conduct of evaluation. International organizations such as UN Evaluation Group has ethical guidelines for evaluation. IDEAS have code of ethics. RIP has ethical standards in evaluations, gender and child inclusive. Next. So based on the landscape analysis, we have come up with the outline of the document. So here it is. At the beginning, we state the rationale in 3 points. Firstly, among the surveyed VOPEs in 2021, Asia-Pacific evaluation in the Asia-Pacific region, 76% of them either do not have a code of ethics or they are not aware of its existence. Secondly, the code of ethics will contribute to the professionalization of the evaluation function in the Asia-Pacific region. Thirdly, the code of ethics will provide guidance to VOPEs in the region to prepare their own respective national evaluation code of ethics. Then after that, we provided the definition of ethics that's taken from the UNEG Ethical Guidance for Evaluation 2020. So the ethics is defined as the right or agreed principles and values that govern the behavior of an individual within the specific culturally defined context within which an evaluation is commissioned or undertaken. We also state the purpose of the document as it helps VOPEs in the Asia-Pacific region, as well as those organizing and conducting evaluations, ensure that an ethical lens informs day-to-day evaluation practice. Next. In terms of the target audience of this code of ethics, primary intended users are, of course, the members of the APIA, including all the VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters in the region, and also all of those involved in evaluation in Asia-Pacific region, including evaluators and commissioners. Then we suggest some accountability mechanism for implementation of the code of ethics. Although there is no formal enforcement mechanism for implementing the code of ethics, here are some suggestions of accountability mechanism for the members should consider. Ensure a regular dialogue in which these principles and their concrete application are discussed and reflected upon, possibly jointly signing the Pledge of Ethical Conduct. Ensure that there's a standing item on ethics at APIA annual general meetings, and integrate these principles into the APIA professionalization of evaluation competency framework for evaluators. Now, I'd like to, next please. Now I'd like to directly go into the 4 principles of the Code of Ethics contained. These 4 taken from the 2020 UNEG Ethical Guidelines for Evaluation as they are public good for adoption. First principle of ethics in evaluation is integrity. Integrity is the active adherence to moral values and professional standards, which are essential for responsible evaluation practice. Integrity in evaluation requires honesty and truthfulness in communication and actions. It requires professionalism based on competence, commitment, ongoing reflective practice, and credible and trustworthy behavior. It requires independence, impartiality, and incorruptibility. These are interdependent and mutually reinforcing. They mitigate or prevent conflict of interest, bias, or undue influence of others, which may otherwise compromise responsible and professional evaluation practice. Next. Second principle of ethics in evaluation is accountability. Accountability is the obligation to be answerable for all decisions made and actions taken, to be responsible for honoring commitments without qualification or exception, and to report potential or actual harms observed through the appropriate channels. Accountability in evaluation requires transparency regarding evaluation purpose and actions taken, establishing trust and increasing accountability for performance to the public, particularly those populations affected by evaluation. It requires responsiveness as questions or events arise, adapting intentions and plans as required. Where corruption, fraud, sexual exploitation or abuse or other misconduct or waste of resources is identified, it must be referred to appropriate channels. Also, accountability requires taking responsibility for meeting the evaluation purpose and for actions taken, for exercising due care and for ensuring redress and recognition as needed. Lastly, accountability requires justifying and fairly and accurately reporting to stakeholders, including affected people, decisions, actions, and intentions. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Randika, who will talk about the other two principles and how to roll the code of ethics in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Shingi. Can you all hear me, Maha? Can you hear me, Maha?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so another important ethical principle that will be part of the code of conduct will be respect. Dr. Sasaki also mentioned this, the importance of respect in his presentation. So as you know, evaluators need to respect the security, dignity, and self-worth of key project stakeholders. That's why this is an important principle that we are planning to include. And also all the key stakeholders need to be engaged throughout the evaluation, and all their voices need to be taken into account when we are doing evaluation studies. So moving on, next slide, please. So the other ethical principle that we are looking to be part of the code of conduct is benefits, which means minimizing harm during the evaluation. So this ethical principle is part also of the Belmont report on ethical conduct for researchers. I think all of you all have heard about the Belmont report, and this is one important part. So this is also taken into account in the UNEG evaluation principles. So in terms of this principle, during evaluation studies, evaluators should not harm participants or put them at risk, and evaluators should ensure that evaluation studies maximize the benefit at systematic, organizational, and programmatic levels for in terms of this principle. Moving forward, next slide, please. So those are the 4 principles we are looking into, but that's why we are having this summit. During the breakout session, we need your feedback. I think we sent you all the questions earlier, and we are trying to do this in a participatory manner where we get comments, feedback, and if you all have any other recommendations for us to include while we develop this code of conduct. So in terms of the rolling out phase, APIA and VOPEs should facilitate and contribute to introducing and encouraging to put this code of conduct product into practice through VOPEs, organizations, and encourage it to be discussed in conferences, workshops, courses, and virtual on-site forums. For example, this code of conduct guide will be presented and discussed in the APIA conference in December. So it will be our next VOPE gathering and summit will be in person in Manila. And next, the code of conduct product can also be integrated into APIA's mentor guide and other training packages and initiatives for EvalYouth chapters in the region. And finally, for the rolling out phase, APIA and VOPEs can work with academic programs to include the code of conduct product in the curriculum of evaluation training programs, and to consider developing training courses and workshops related to the subject in public institutions and their monitoring and evaluation bodies. So those are some of the steps that can be taken for the rolling out phase of this. And in terms of the monitoring and evaluation phase, APIA will plan to carry out periodic surveys among the VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters in the Asia Pacific region regarding the use of product once it's rolled out. And then accordingly revise the code of conduct periodically to reflect the changing demands on evaluation and as context change and opportunities emerge. So one thing is this can be revisited again during the VOPE summit, which can be next year once it's rolled out and VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters and others have used it. So I get feedback and keep on working and developing this. So this will be a work in progress document going forward. So next slide. So now we are going to move on to our breakout session. So we'll have about 4 groups. I think you all received the questions beforehand. Next slide. So these are your facilitators. So group 1 will be facilitated by Professor Keiko, group 2 by Dr. Asela, group 3 by Shingwik, and I will be facilitating group 4. So in each group, each one, a note taker and a presenter needs to be appointed. So the breakout session slides for this is put on the chat right now. So everyone has editing access. So please appoint someone to take notes. And then we'll have a plenary discussion about 25 minutes after the breakout session. We have 30 minutes for the breakout session because we want to give them more time for the breakout session and get your feedback for these questions. Next slide. Next, yeah, so these are the questions. Please discuss them in depth and give us feedback. And because this will be very important for us to develop and draft the code of conduct for APIA. Since, like I mentioned earlier, we are doing this in a participatory manner involving all VOPEs and EvalYouth chapters in the region. So first question is, to what extent do you think that the ethical principles covered in the proposed code of conduct ethics are comprehensive enough? Are there any missing ethical principles? If so, what is that and why? Do you have any other principles of ethics to add on the proposed list? What do you mean by integrity as a principle in ethics of evaluation, in particular when it comes to practice versus theory? Integrity to whom? And the final one is, what does the beneficence mean to you? That's the sub-questions part of question 1. Question 2, how do you plan to introduce and roll out the code of ethics in your VOPE, EvalYouth chapters and organizations? Final question, question 3, what are the opportunities to integrate the code of ethics in the curriculum of evaluation training programs and training courses to foster professionalization of evaluation? So those are the 3 questions we want everyone to answer. So you'll have 30 minutes for discussion and deliberation. And then when we come back, someone from each group has to present in the plenary, and then we're going to have further discussion on this. So I think now we should be good to go. So facilitators, I hope you're all ready. Madhuka, please, let's go to the breakout room sessions.
Yes, now I'm going to open the breakout room. So inviting everyone to join the breakout room each group has 7 members, including the facilitator. Group 1 facilitator is Professor Keiko Nishino, Group 2, Dr. Asela Kalukampite, Group 3, Ms. Chingi, Group 4, Mr. Randika. So I'll open the breakout room now.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had great discussions. I was popping in all the groups, and I know it sounded very, I was really impressed by the discussion going on and everybody participating equally in discussing all the questions. So now we have approximately 2 minutes for each group to quickly summarize what they discussed in the breakout groups. And more importantly, all these questions that we had for each of the screen. So we can start with group 1. If you would like to share your screen or maybe just present, that's all right as well. So anybody from group 1?
Tabisita.
Professor Kiko, your group, who
Yeah, the
will be
seat-
presenting?
Sita will present.
Okay,
Yes.
go on.
Thank you, Prof. Keiko. This group is facilitated by Nararia and Christine. Would you please show the screen?
Madhuka, will you be able to
Okay.
share?
Maha, can you share the screen, breakout slides?
Okay. Just give me a minute. I am. Yes.
I can share it.
Yes, please go on.
ahead.
Okay. Good. Thank you. And where is the
Go to the
answer?
next slide.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we have a rather long discussion. It's not long because the time is very limited, but we think that there is at least two principles is still missing on this integrity principles. Three principles. So we suggest to put objectivity, validity, and leadership into the integrity principles. The objectivity means that proceeding without being influenced by any bias or personal opinions. It just quickly search on Google. And the other, but the validity is about base the findings only for the facts on in the field. And leadership mean about how the evaluators actually the leadership or the cannot be can coordinate team or coordinate the work without influenced by both from the person who hired us or the people as the object of the research. We have no time to discuss respect and other principles, but on the beneficence, it is interesting that the beneficence is separated from the integrity, because usually the beneficence is part of the integrity principles. Why we say that? Because that's sometimes on the evaluation, the evaluators were asked to follow or to refer to the person who hired us needs. So not think about the beneficiaries of the program. Question 2, please.
Yes.
So first, to roll out the code of ethics into all VOPEs, we need to have a guidebook at hand, and then we can share the final guidebook with all the VOPEs and other organizations engaged in the evaluations. And the awareness to the public could be done through workshop, both online and in-person courses or peer-to-peer learning. There needs to be an agreed timelines of each VOPEs. Then the APEA can facilitate the events if it is necessary to roll out the code ethics, so we can know about the progress of the rollout of this issue. And we need to integrate this issue, the code of conduct, in all of our trainings. Oh, it is the question 3, sorry. So the inclusion of code of ethics in all actions, on all evaluation concern institutions, academic, planning commission, and many units in departments, including in government or private or in local organization. Yes.
Thank you so much, Group 1. Now, because of shortage of time, we'll quickly move to Group 2, and I will request the presenter to please wrap the summary in a minute or maximum 2 minutes. So this is Group 2. Presenter?
Rima?
Yes.
Rima, can you make the presentation?
All right. Oh, great.
From our group 2, we agree that we want to include another values here, like the objectivity and also the reflexivity, but also we are thinking about the continuous learning aspect of the evaluation that should be also taken into account in this code of ethics. And we also have some suggestion about the inclusion of confidentiality in the requirement part of the accountability. And and we also discuss something about the formation of the document, because that's one question from the from one members of the group 2 about the formation of the document, how you can, you know, like format this kind of document, the flow of this document, the logic behind that. That would be great if we can have also some explanation about that. And also there is one thing about the informed consents, which is about how we explicitly communicate that consent that can be taken back at any stage of the evaluation or data collection, such as interview or FGD. And when we also discuss about what is the integrity for ourselves, some members mentioned that it can be like we become honest, having a strong moral principle, and also become responsible and transparent and trustworthy. So that's from our group for the question, the first question. And then the second question, about the plan to introduce and roll out the code of ethics in our VOPE and EvalYouth chapter. Some members also mentioned that they want to present and disseminate and also train this kind of code of ethics to the members, because we agree that it will be great to have, you know, we are on the same page in terms of, you know, have the clear definition and also statement for everyone. So we really want to ensure that we have the same understanding among the members. And it's also some suggestion to have, you know, a translation to the local language. So for example, to the Mongolian language, or maybe to Bahasa, to Indonesian language. And we can, you know, contextualize the code of ethics to the national or the local context. And the third question about opportunities, we think that probably some capacity building activity will be one of good means to, you know, to integrate the code of ethics and also, to foster the professionalization of the evaluation to the members. So I think that's all from group 2. I mean,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prema and group 2 and Asela. Over to group 3. Which was facilitated by Chimgi, and please go ahead.
Hi. Hi, this is Umesh, and we are group 3. Due to the paucity of time, we could only discuss question 1 in detail. But I think the participation and inputs from group 1 were very interesting and very comprehensive, in sense that we discussed, can we include equity among stakeholders, all the participants of the VOPEs or all the organizations working in this domain? Can we include that principle? We also discussed, can we include impartiality, and especially impartiality while reporting our findings? That's as a ethical principle. It is also very crucial, according to my group, to have a certain standard and a set benchmark for competencies for all the commissions and on the work where do we do. So competencies, whether it is skill, knowledge, or attitude of evaluators, is something that we want to adhere to. And third and fourth, last one is, we believe that any such a document can't be written in set in stone. With time, it has to be reviewed and iteratively improved according to the values and dynamic organization goals that change. So these are the 4 questions, values that we thought on question 1. And on question 2, we discussed how evaluation, EvalYouth Mongolia and Evaluation Commission of Mongolia use this into their VOPE. It is a lesson for all of us and how we can add. And I think apart from that, there were discussion, but nothing comprehensive. We all realized that we need more time to discuss on this. And I would request any one of my group members to add in if I missed any of the point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umesh. And this was good. I mean, you were able to identify new, some more add value to the first question. So we'll go to group number 4, which was facilitated by Randika. So over to you, group 4.
Garima.
Thanks, Maha and Randika. Our group, one of the things that came up in terms of any additional sort of areas was how usable is the evaluation for different stakeholders and program participants. And but otherwise, I think the group thought that the principles were quite comprehensive. One thing that was brought up was that the interpretation, and can really change from person to person, place to place. So in terms, and also since this is such a diverse sort of region that that is being addressed through the code of ethics, that perhaps there can be more detailed sort of explanations and so that it's easier to sort of pinpoint also the differences perhaps in the different sort of principles. Let's go to the next slide. And in terms of respect, right, we talked about respect as both about the relationship that we build with all the different stakeholders, as well as how do we integrate it into the evaluation process, whether that's about privacy, whether it is about how we go about collecting data, how much data we collect. And another important, I guess, point that was brought up was the need for reflexivity and the need to sort of, as you are working as you are collecting information, to be listening and see what meaning is being made, rather than sort of to really being open to seeing things from the perspective of those we are of the other stakeholders, because otherwise we might end up leaving with a very different picture. So and make also this really listening to make meaning. With integrity, the group sort of talked about it as a core value that is sort of a 360-degree process, also sort of maybe thinking of it, I wonder, even as sort of an implementation of these ethics. But really, I think the word that came up the most was sort of being about trust and honesty. And so transparency, and those, I think those ethics sort of are highlighted the most, I guess, the relationship with integrity for our group. This part I suppose. Right, so how would we bring it to different, bring the code of ethics into our communities and the practitioners? So one was that the workshops that people discuss and talk through these, engage with these together. The other was with to training and so introduce it that way. And another suggestion was that we introduce speakers who all have already had some experience working through difficult situations, so that they can share sort of case studies. People can sort of practically sort of try to understand this as well, because sometimes theory to practice, translating that can be difficult. Next slide, please. And so on the question of how does this become integrated into academic programs and accredited sort of training, I think what was suggested was that this time is sort of right. So But even outside the academic work, capacity building workshops and forums still need to be conducted while sort of, I guess, that catches up.
Thank you so much, Garima, and thank you to all the groups for such a great discussion. Some of the things that, if we had to summarize, some of the things that came up or the new values that we heard of were competence, objectivity, reflection, confidentiality, equity. So these are some of the themes that you all suggested, and definitely these are great pointers for us to incorporate and make this code of ethics improved and better. With this, you also suggested better rollout options such as trainings, translations, again, very, very important, and keeping the context in mind and how to basically cascade all of this that we're discussing into the into evaluations, into local evaluations. So these are some great pointers. Now that we're towards the end of the summit, I would request you all to please turn on your camera so that we can take a group picture. It's good to see everybody. Madhuka, productions team.
May, are you going to take the picture?
Sure. Okay. Please turn on your cameras, everyone. I'll take a photo. Keep those smiles on. Okay. One more. One more time. I don't see last one. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, May, and thank you, everybody. And now we're basically go back to the presentation, and I will request Asela for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Maha. Thank you, everyone. Let me very quickly thank everyone who made this possible and successful. Professor Keiko for the opening remarks, and Dr. Sasaki for the presentation, and Chimji and Randika, who were taking the lead in developing ethics with other team members, as well as making this presentation. I think this is historical for the region, having ethical code of conduct for evaluation in the region. Once this is finalized and published, this will be a great resource for our region. And also Maha for great moderation of this event, and our team members, Madhuka, Randika, me, and all for organizing this event. At the same time, all of you, the participants, especially active participation in the breakout sessions. I noticed that even in the group I joined, there was a great, vibrant discussion, giving a lot of important points. So we will make these revisions and also get back to you with the revised version. And I'm hopeful that we can publish this very soon. As I said, this will be a great resource for the region. And as you know, every 6 months we have the VOPE and EvalYouth Summit on professionalization, virtually up to now, but next summit will be in person at the APIA conference in December, 4 to 7 December in Manila. I hope all of you will join the APIA conference, as well as the next VOPE and EvalYouth Summit in person at the conference. Hoping to see you all there in person, and thank you very much everyone for this great event today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asela, for these words and for always encouraging us to do good. With this, I just want all of you to know that there are a series of great events coming up, such as the SLABA webinar, the 7th follow-up training of the winter school. So please take note of these, put it in your calendar, and of course, the 4th peer conference, which is going to be an in-person conference after a very long time, and it's in Manila, Philippines. And there's a call for paper as well, which will also be presented at the conference. Keep following our social media to get to know all these events where you can participate and work for evaluation even more. Thank you so much once again, and thank you to all our speakers, Professor Kiko, Dr. Rio, Chimgi, Randika, Asela, and to all of you for participating so well. And of course, our productions team for always supporting and organizing these events. Thank you, everyone.